Have you ever noticed something scary? You can know exactly what to do, and still never change your life. You know you should be disciplined. You know you should be grateful. You know you should stop procrastinating. So why are you still stuck? Because there's one sentence silently destroying your growth. And you probably say it every single day. I already know that. This story will show you why knowing isn't enough. And how one man lost years of his life believing he was already wise. Stay until the end. What you'll learn might completely change how you listen forever. In a modern American city known for its universities, research centers, and endless self-help culture, lived a young man named Ethan. At just 26 years old, Ethan had consumed more information than most people twice his age. He listened to productivity podcasts every morning. He read psychology books at night. He followed philosophers, entrepreneurs, and motivational speakers online. He could explain mindset theory. He could quote famous thinkers. He could debate happiness, discipline, and purpose with impressive confidence. Around town, people called him the smart one. But there was something else people noticed. Something they never said to his face. Ethan knew everything. Except how to listen. Whenever someone spoke, he waited for his turn to talk. Whenever advice came his way, he interrupted. Yeah, I already know that. When older people shared life lessons, he smiled politely while thinking. I've heard this stuff 100 times. One evening, his mother said softly, "Son, reading the recipe doesn't mean you've tasted the food." Ethan laughed. "Mom, I've watched dozens of cooking videos. I understand perfectly." But the truth was different. Despite all his knowledge, Ethan felt empty. He understood friendship, yet had very few real friends. He studied happiness, yet woke up restless every morning. He knew everything about peace, except how to feel it. Still, he believed the solution was simple. I just need to learn more. He never realized that his favorite sentence, "I already know that," was quietly building a cage around his mind. One fall afternoon, Ethan heard about an old man who lived outside the city near the mountains. People said this man, a retired park ranger named Caleb, had an unusual ability. They said talking to him changed people. Ethan laughed. "Sounds dramatic," he said. "I've studied psychology. Human behavior isn't mysterious." But curiosity won. Not because he wanted to learn, but because he wanted to prove that this man was nothing special. He found Caleb near a small cabin, sitting beside a creek, stacking smooth stones. "Sir," Ethan said confidently, "I've heard people say you teach wisdom. I've studied human behavior extensively. Maybe I can share a few insights with you." The old man looked up and smiled. "Would you like some coffee?" Ethan frowned. "I didn't come for coffee. I came to talk." "Sit," Caleb said gently. Reluctantly, Ethan sat. Caleb began pouring coffee into his mug, and kept pouring. The liquid reached the top. Then spilled over. Then dripped onto the ground. "Hey, stop," Ethan said. "The cup is full." Caleb set the pot down calmly. "Exactly," he said. Ethan blinked. "What does that mean?" Caleb pointed to the overflowing mug. "You came here full. Full of information. Full of opinions. full of, I already know. How can anything new fit into a cup that's already overflowing? The words hit Ethan harder than he expected. For the first time in years, he had nothing to say. But I've studied so much, he finally whispered. Caleb nodded. You know many things, he said. But do you, Andy? Caleb stood and gestured toward the land behind the cabin. I'll show you 3 places, he said. Each will teach you the difference between knowing and understanding. They walked to the first area. Signs everywhere. Labels. Charts. Perfect explanations nailed into wooden boards. This is the place of knowledge, Caleb said. Everything is documented. Nothing is missing. Ethan nodded eagerly. Excellent structure. Very organized. Look closer, Caleb said. Ethan did. Most of the plants were dying. Knowledge alone, Caleb said, is neat, impressive, and lifeless. Like flowers pressed inside a book. They walked to the second area. Total chaos. People running around, digging, moving plants constantly. They're working hard, Ethan said. Yes, Caleb replied. But without understanding. They copy actions without knowing why. Busy, but nothing grows. Finally, they reached the third place. Ethan stopped breathing. Everything was alive. Balanced. Thriving. This, Caleb said, is understanding. He knelt and grabbed soil. Tell me, he asked. What is soil made of? Ethan answered instantly. Minerals, organic matter, water, air. Stop, Caleb said. Now close your eyes. Ethan hesitated, then did. Put your hands in the soil. He did. Don't think, Caleb said. Feel. A moment passed. It's alive, Ethan whispered. Caleb smiled. Now you're not knowing. You're understanding. You've read about love, Caleb said. Yes. Have you felt it deeply? Silence. You've studied peace. Yes. Do you live with it? Silence. Knowing the path, Caleb said, is not the same as walking it. For the next 30 days, he gave Ethan one rule. Every time you hear advice, even advice you've heard before, don't say, I already know that. Ask instead, am I living this? Ethan returned home changed. When someone spoke, he listened. When advice came, he paused. When he read books again, he applied one idea, not 10. And slowly, something incredible happened. He didn't just understand peace. He felt it. He didn't just talk about growth. He lived it. 30 days later, he returned to the cabin. I understand now, Ethan said. Knowledge isn't power. Wisdom is, and wisdom only comes through experience. Caleb poured coffee again. This time, Ethan smiled. My cup is empty. My friend, this story isn't just Ethan's. It's ours. We live in a world drowning in information, but starving for transformation. You already know what to do. You know you should be healthier. You know you should be patient. You know you should manage money better. You know you should take action. But knowledge without application is just entertainment. The beginner who practices one lesson is wiser than the expert who lives none. So for the next 7 days. Don't say, I already know that. Ask, am I living this? Choose one thing, just one. And actually do it. Because when you empty your cup, the same words you've heard 100 times will finally change your life. You don't need more information. You need transformation. And transformation begins when knowing becomes being.